Well, I was just watching Fox News, and hot off the press, I see that Pat Robertson has just endorsed Rudy Giuliani for the nomination of the Republican Party. It's very troubling, to say the least, that Pat Robertson would endorse Rudy Giuliani, who has been an advocate of special rights for homosexuals and admittedly pro-abortion, and has taken the egregious position that he believes it's wrong, but he believes that a woman should have a right to do it. I mean, I could see if this were the general election, but we're talking a primary. There are men like Mike Huckabee out there, people of principle that we as Christians have an obligation to support, and he's coming out and saying that he's doing this because issues like the advancement of radical Islam are the most important issues right now. There are examples throughout history, as a Christian, if you look at the Bible, where the children of Israel, God's chosen people, disobeyed God and tried to do things on their own, and God handed them over to their enemies. If anything, Mr. Robertson, it is your position that is a part of the problem. Instead of you're a man of God, and you don't believe that this is in God's hands, that you've got to compromise the lives potentially of millions of unborn children and advance the cause of homosexuality by anointing those causes advocate in our party. You believe that you've got to take that upon yourself to do that and to turn your back on your moral obligation. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Mr. Robertson, I would say to you that you have just undermined in one day everything that you have spent your entire life trying to accomplish in one day. And that's not to say that souls, I'm sure, perhaps hundreds of thousands or even millions, have come to know God through your work. Let's face it. According to the Bible, God spoke through a jackass. Any souls that have come to him are because he called them. Anything that you have done over the last decades has just been undermined. You have lost your credibility. And I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, Robertson has been making some pretty outrageous statements over the years, predictions of asteroid. I think he predicted an asteroid would be hitting Orlando a few years ago and destroying it, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess that's not going to happen. I hope that your actions here do not sway Christians to take your advice. There are certain things that cannot be compromised as a Christian, and you of all people should know better. And thank God for Dr. Dobson. I think it's now more than ever important that Dr. Dobson come out and take a stand. I would love to see him endorse Governor Mike Huckabee. That remains to be seen, but this is a sad day. This is a day of shame for Pat Robertson, and he should step down or change his course and apologize and take back that endorsement. I just heard on Fox News with Shepard Smith, he had somebody from Huffington Post on and a Republican female from Texas, some Republican club, and he was talking about the Robertson issue, and Shepard Smith had put forward the fact that the Republican Party seems to be very divided right now. The girl who was representing the Republican club of sort was saying that that isn't the case, and that when the Republican Party nominates its candidate, the Republicans will be firmly behind that candidate. I have to take issue with that. I made it very clear on my post, Rudy Giuliani nomination unacceptable, that if we have to become the Democrats in order to defeat the Democrats, then what is the point? If we have to compromise our values and try to mimic the liberal ideals of Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, then if we have to do that to win, then we haven't won a thing. and we deserve what we get. If Rudy Giuliani is the nomination, I will not, under any circumstance, support the Republican candidate. It will be the first time in my lifetime that I have not voted for the Republican candidate. There was one time in my life where I voted for a Democrat, and that was when I lived in Pennsylvania, and I voted for Bob Casey Sr., the late Bob Casey Sr., for governor, and that was at a time where the Republican opposition was a liberal Republican. I don't even remember who it was. It was somebody of the Arlen Specter ilk, and he was pro-abortion. He was liberal. He called himself a Republican. When Bill Clinton came to Pennsylvania, a very important state, of course, in the presidential election, Governor Bob Casey refused to meet with the man. He was pro-life, a man of integrity, and on the other side, I had some guy calling himself a Republican who was basically everything that we oppose in our Republican Party platform. And that was the only time in my lifetime that I've supported a Democrat or voted for a Democrat over a Republican. And I make a firm commitment to you today. If we undermine our party platform, the party of Lincoln, the party of life, if we undermine that by electing Rudy Giuliani as our candidate for the highest office in the land, I make a firm commitment to you to either write in the name of Mike Huckabee or to find a 10th tier candidate in some unknown party. That is what I will do, and I hope every conservative Republican will do so along with me. Because let me tell you something, it's a slippery slope, and once we set that precedent and allow our party to stand for nothing other than beating the odious Hillary Clinton, then we have become just as bad as them, and we stand for nothing. I'm Mr. Arbitrage. Stay golden.